Michael William Russel, born 9th of August 1953, is a Scottish politician serving as Cabinet Secretary for the Constitution, Europe and External Affairs since 2020. He has served as Cabinet Secretary for Education and Lifelong Learning from 2009 to 2014 and Cabinet Secretary for Government, Business and Constitutional Relations from 2018 to 2020, and he's also a member of the Scottish National Party. Russell has been President of the SNP since November 2020. He has been a member of the Scottish Parliament for Argyll and Bute since 2011 and was MSP for the South of Scotland from 1999 to 2003 and 2007 to 2011. He is, in my opinion, one of the most articulate speechmakers and can clearly hold his own when it comes to being questioned in committees, even when the question is childish and the questioner treats him with contempt and toxic behaviours. Russell keeps his cool.
This afternoon. Mr. Russell, can I start? Professor Keating said earlier, and I wrote this down, this is not about Westminster trying to grab powers back, and I noted you nodding in agreement. Just because Hansard can't pick that up, can you confirm you're in agreement with what Professor Keating said there?
What I agree is that it is not a crude power grab of the...
Mr. Russell, sorry, we're asking specific questions. This is just a...
And I'm endeavouring to give a specific answer.
Sorry, Mr. Russell, when I'm asking a question, if you can just listen. Do you agree with Professor Keating when he said this is not about Westminster trying to grab powers back?
What I indicated was an agreement that this is not a crude power grab. I actually paid tribute to drafting the bill. I think it's a very subtle power grab.
So Professor Keating said this is not about Westminster trying to grab powers back. That is verbatim what Professor Keating said. You nodded. Do you agree with that? Yes.
I believe that there is a very subtle power grab going on. I pay tribute to those who have been clever enough to devise it.
Sorry, Mr. Russell, this is a serious committee and we need serious answers. Do you agree with what Professor Keating said? Yes or no? Agree?
I have indicated what my view is of that. I've done it twice. I'm happy to do it again.
So I'm sorry then, I will read the words out and you will say yes you agree or no you disagree. Do you agree with these words from Professor Keating earlier on in this meeting? This is not about Westminster trying to grab powers back. Yes or
I believe there is a very subtle power grab going on. That is what I indicate.
Does that mean you disagree with the quote from Professor Keating earlier?
I've made it very clear. I believe there is a very subtle power grab going on.
I'm sorry, I don't know then if you agree or disagree.
I think the Cabinet Secretary has given his answer 3 times now, Douglas. Can we move on, or is there another way you want to rephrase that?
I would put on record, Chair, that a witness has failed to answer a question when I'm giving a very specific comment. And I would give the Cabinet Secretary one more opportunity when I read out the words from Professor Keating. This is not about Westminster trying to grab powers back. Does the Cabinet Secretary agree with Professor Keating on that?
For the 4th time, I believe there has been a very subtle power grab, and I pay tribute.
Let's.
Michael Russell is cool, calm and collected in pretty much every situation politically. Douglas Ross tried to badger Michael and he failed miserably. Basically, Michael can stand up to anybody, but he's at his best when he's storytelling during his speeches. And he's quite inspirational with that too.
At times around Scotland about Brexit over the last 4.5 years. And it's a story that from time to time I would tell, and it's a very personal story, and I want to tell it here because it means a great deal to me. And it was brought on, my memory of it was brought on by a speech I heard in Berlin, and I can tell you the day, on the 17th of November 2016, from Martin Schulz, who was then President of the European Parliament. And he talked in a very moving way at a dinner that I was at in Berlin about the way in which the Second World War had damaged his family. It created absolute chaos within his family, and a number of members had died and some had been wounded. But he pointed out the extraordinary nature of what happened next, because the victor nations reached out their hand to the vanquished nation and said, never again. Never again on this continent will this happen. And that was a remarkable and unique thing. And I was very struck at that moment by something in my own history. My father volunteered at the age of 19 for the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. He was on the beach in Dunkirk when he was wounded through the knee at the age of 20. And he was carried off the beach in Dunkirk. Now, what would it have been like for a 20-year-old young man on the beach in Dunkirk, brought up in the douce wee tune of Troon? What would it have been like? What terror he must have felt. How he must have wondered if he would live or die, if he would ever see his own country again. But he did. He lived, though he had that wound for the rest of his life. But that never happened to me when I was 20. And it never happened to my son when he was 20. And if it is only for that reason, that I regard the EU as something to remain within, then I will argue for that forever. Forever.
Michael Russell is certainly the sort of person I would happily sit down and have a cup of coffee with. I think he's a great independence influencer. I think he's a great example of a politician and a statesman, and a credit to everything that is the Scottish Parliament and Holyrood. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today and watching this spotlight on Michael Russell. I will be making more videos like this, and I hope that you will join me and give me a little follow here at Radio Apocalypse on YouTube, and also at the Saltire on Instagram. You have a great day. Take care.